Hello, gang. Here, Andy Nichols from Two Legs, back here with a special video today with my friend Beatley Tone. Hi, Tony.
Hi, Andy. How you doing?
I'm doing good, and it's rebuttal time, mate.
Oh,
It's rebuttal time
I
because
like a challenge. I like a challenge.
it's as we know, Beatley Tone on his channel does deep dive videos on Beatles and solo albums. A few months back, he did one on wildlife. Had to chime back in. And just the other day, he's dropped another deep dive where he goes through McCartney II, all in all its warts and glory. And I'm here to kind of go through Tony, give Tony's recap on the album and notes and figure out why he chose and scored some songs the way he did. Some you're spot on, and other ones I'm like, are you nuts? Are you absolutely bonkers? But how you doing? First off, Tony, we're on two legs, but this is hands across the water. 2/3 of it, we're here on two legs. How you doing? All right?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Always good to be doing stuff for you, mate.
It's it. And I know those of you keeping score of the t-shirts at home. Here you go. Here's this one. Look at this thing.
Tony, that's his McCartney II dress.
That's what he said. It's like a damn dress. Look at this. I gotta say, this one's obnoxious. It is a bit. I won't be wearing it out. I'll tell you that. Just for these little fun things. But when was the last time you listened to McCartney II before you did the deep dive again?
Actually, not that long ago. I don't know. Maybe about a month or two ago. Maybe was the last time. But it's been a long time since I played my original copy that I bought in 1980 because we've had so many different versions of it since, and I've got nice clean copies. My archive vinyl, or the deluxe box set, or the coloured vinyl, the clear vinyl.
The clear vinyl is but that was
I know I would normally go for those because they're cleaner, but I was pleasantly surprised by how good it kind of nick it was in. It was really in really good nick, and it had that little bonus for me inside.
That's right, the poster, which you saw, and the link to Tony's video, if you haven't seen it yet, is below. Yeah. Take a look at it. He's got his vintage out now, his original copy, which, believe it or not, is celebrating. It's just celebrated its 45th anniversary because it came out in May of 1980.
It did. Incredible.
So I love the bits of corner of cello tape that used to be on the corner of the poster. And in his video, he goes, well, this was up my bedroom and nothing's much changed in 45 years. I still put posters up in my room.
Yeah, I've got to get it up behind me, I think. Look, there's a big blank space there.
I think it would go good right next to that one. You go right underneath London Town, put a nice frame on it and get it hung.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's in good enough nick to put a frame on it, but it's not in bad nick apart from the little bits of sellotape. There's a little bit of where the sellotape's kind of stuck to it, but yeah, I told you before, when I first started work at 16, and all the people that I worked with would go to the pub at lunchtime, and I'm only 16, I'm not allowed to go to the pub, so I used to hang out in a record store just around the corner from where I work, and I got talking to the guy that worked there, and he would then I was a Beatles fan, and he would regularly give me any promotional stuff. Once they'd taken it off the wall, they'd finished promoting it in the shop, I'd go in and say, can I have it?
Can I have it, please?
Yeah, he used to give me the stuff, not just Beatles stuff either. I can remember getting some other stuff as well.
Good stuff.
But yeah, it's a handy bloke to know.
Absolutely. And I love about the UK version, the Parlophone, is it's got the black and white Parlophone label, which is for us Yanks, we're so envious of that because Paul, as you know, was on a Columbia deal in America.
Yeah.
Started back to the egg.
Do you want to see it?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So it's
worth seeking out those Parlophones.
Yeah, I haven't put it back on the shelf yet. So.
Yeah, there it is. There's that nice black and classy, black and white, late 70s, early 80s Parlophone label, which is envious for us collectors out there. Can't say that I have a UK copy of that yet.
It's a nice one.
It certainly is. So let's go through Tony's rankings and scorings and some of his rationale for his scores on his album. First of all, credit. I love how you actually you catalog them all, you tier them, and as you revisit them over your channel, which I think is such a cool aspect of what you do.
Yeah, I'm just sort of building up a league table of all the albums to see how they stack against each other, you know.
Curiously, McCartney 2 and 3 butted up against each other in your ranking.
They did. I don't expect they'll stay that close together once I get more reviews done. But yeah, at the moment they're right next to each other.
Now, kicking it off with Coming Up, Tony prefers the live version over the studio gimmickry one, which I understand, considering you saw Coming Up performed live 4 times on that tour. Yeah. So I could see why you feel as a band it's a better song. Curiously, though, you said the best live version was the one from Tripping the Life Fantastic.
Yeah. Do you not like that one?
It's okay.
I kind of like it because I like it more because of the drum intro. Right. Take it away, Master Christopher.
Yes, that's nice. But then it kind of gets into these funky things later on.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of there's quite a lot of inserts in there that I don't know, just make it a little bit different, but definitely prefer the live version that came out at the time, the Glasgow Apollo one.
Yes.
Because it hasn't got his voice speeded up. It's his natural voice. He's got a real horn section on the record, from the gigs, whereas on the record it's all synthesizers.
It's all synthesizers and sped up and
so I prefer the live version that you guys had as the A side.
Correct. Which they slotted into the American copies of McCartney II. They just threw that 45 in as a bonus.
Yeah.
Because it was such a big hit. They had to throw it in there.
Yeah, I didn't know that actually, because a lot of people on my channel that commented who were either from the US or from Canada, they were saying, "Oh yeah, we got the single included in the album as a bonus," which is nice.
One side promo.
One-sided single. That makes me sound like I need to get an American copy with a single inside.
You'll have your chance in about a month when you fly over for the fest, because I'm sure somebody will have a copy of it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Maybe I'll wait till then.
So you gave it an 8 out of 10, even though you prefer the live version. I can agree with that. I might give it 9 out of 10 because it is the best known song on the album, but no qualms with that really overall. You've got another live version, which you saw. I get it. Next track, Temporary Secretary. I loved how you gave the explanation of, if you don't know what Mr. Marks is, it's an agency that people actually go to get people from, and you'd have to be a Londoner really to know what that is.
Yeah, they were very prevalent in London, and but not outside of London in the UK, as far as I can remember. But probably anyone overseas probably wouldn't. Who's Mr. Marks? And it's an employment agency called Alfred Marks Bureau, and they were very famous, and that's they advertised a lot on TV, and also in the ads you get before a film in the cinema, so that you always would see an advert for Alfred Marks Bureau, to get your secretarial needs.
Although I think if you knew your McCartney history, I remember even reading books and stuff as a kid that I knew that this was about an agency. I didn't have to wait for the archive to come out to learn that it was actually about an agency. I had read that probably in a book or magazine years before the archive. So even though we wouldn't know what that agency is or the advertising for it, and the lyric kind of makes sense. Mr. Marks, can you find for me someone strong and sweet sitting on my knee? So it makes sense. The lyrics kind of tell the story, even if you don't know the reference of the Marks agency, which, but I did love your explanation. What I cracked up about at the end of it was you talked about the cats meowing at the end of the song. Because I'm
that's squawking. Wah! There's that's squawking. It sounds like
squawk. It does sound like nails on a chalkboard. I agree with you there.
It is. Someone treading on a cat's paw.
Oh, that is rough. That is rough. And once Tony says, once you hear it, you can't unhear it. And I agree with you on that. You talked about the times you saw it live. I got to see Paul do it live as well in 2016 and I think 2017. And he gave an 8 out of 10. Totally fine with that score. I love the score. I love the song. And the synthesizers and everything else going on to do the oversampling. And Tony mentioned how that actually was nothing new because Pete Townsend did it in 1971 on Baba O'Reilly. So that kind of technique was not anything new. Paul was just doing it for the first time in a song that people either love or hate.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people haven't got a lot of time for temporary secretary, mostly because of that annoying sync. Well, I don't find it annoying, but a lot of people get annoyed by that continuous sequencer of the keyboard part that just goes round and round and round and round. But, you know, to balance that off, where else are you going to find a lyric like, she could be a neurosurgeon if she's doing nothing urgent?
No, nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. Quirky, funky track. Love the score on it, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. You, my friend, got to see it sound checked in London. I'm jealous of you, which when this past December, which was fantastic.
That was really nice to see that.
Next track. Surprised here. The next track on the way, Tony has cited as his favorite track on the album, and he gives it a score of 9 out of 10. No track on the album Tony gave a 10 to, which we'll get to that. But 9, the bluesiness of it, Tony, you mentioned the guitar solos on the track.
Yeah, really nice bass on it as well. And I really like the vocal is kind of drenched in echo on that. And he sounds really great on that. It's just one of those songs that there's not too much to it, you know, because this is not an experimental, you know, 80s track, you know, where he's using synthesizers or sequencers or anything like that. This is bass, guitar, drums, and vocals. It's a rock song. You know, it's a rock song
without in an album that's full of kind of experimental type stuff. It's just a bluesy song, so it's an outlier, right, on the track on the album. It's not really like anything else on the rest of the album.
Yeah,
it's a more proper kind of blues riff type thing with a killer vocal delivery.
Yeah, really, really good. And it's one of these songs that, you know, I've just never ever got bored of it. I just really love it. It's great.
You like it more than me with a score of 9. I'll give it more like a 7.
Okay.
I'll give it a 7. I will definitely give it a 7 because it is a strong track and a great vocal on it. And the way it ends with that nice little fade out guitar solo, it just kind of the solo just takes us out and just ends it. Leading into, okay, this is going to be a big sticking point here in this little rebuttal.
I know.
Big sticking point. It's coming. Get ready. All right.
Okay, I'm ready.
Waterfalls. Tony, now I'll give you credit. You still scored it at a 7.5, and I give you credit for that. When I was watching you take the piss out of this song, I'm like, oh, he's going to give it a 3. He's going to give it a 4. You still gave it a 7.5, which I think it owes to, you know, that McCartney can write a good lyric, a good meaningful one. You just feel that it's a little bit too much of an unfinished demo, unfinished feel to it. And I actually think that that's one of the great things about the song. You mentioned in your video that Paul did have designs to make a big production out of it, more orchestration and layers. He chose not to, and I think that was a good decision. I absolutely love this track. The full version in all its glory. Actually, it's a favorite of Ozzy Osbourne's too, believe it or not. Look that up.
Okay.
He loves the track too. I just think that it's understated demo quality and the synths kind of just going in and out of it, and a real charming, sweet vocal delivery makes this song one of his best ballads. And you said, oh, how do people actually rate this song? Is it one of his best ballads of all time? You didn't, but you still gave it a 7.5. I think Waterfalls is a majestic ballad that is in the upper echelon of Paul's songs of all time.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I was a bit harsh. I said that I don't often hear like a big shout for Waterfalls as being one of Paul's, you know, sort of top-notch ballads. It doesn't seem to get mentioned in that sort of upper echelon of his, you know, the thing that he does really well is really great ballads with great melody.
Like a No More Lonely Nights. It's not in that.
Yeah. And but in the comments on my videos, lots of people said, I absolutely love Waterfalls. So you know, I was proved wrong. I mean, I think that what you know, I don't dislike anything about it. I just think that because of the kind of the atmosphere that he creates in that song and the lyrics and the melody and something like that, it just feels like it feels a little bit unfinished to me. I think he could have maybe done more with it. You know, some would say, you know, less is more, and that is the case in, you know, with a lot of things. But for me, it just felt it felt too much like a demo to be up in that upper echelon of McCartney ballads, but I do like the song. I gave it
Which is fair, which is why
7.5.
you rated it 7.5, which I give a lot of respect to you for giving it, even though you're not a big fan. You think it could be more embellished of a song. It's nice though, because in certain bits of the song, you've got that double tracked vocal that comes in and out of it, where he opens up a single track, but then, sometimes it goes to double track. So he put a little bit of into it. It's got that nice little...
I mean he created all the sort of the classical instruments with his synthesizer and
the guitar. About a minute into the song, you hear the nice acoustic guitar plucking away the melody too.
Yeah.
So I think it's understated production is one of the best things about the song.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what he was going for. A less is more thing. Yeah. But it's just got such a nice melody. It just feels like to me, not to you and not to lots of other people. It just feels like it might have been a little bit of a wasted opportunity of a really good song. Because also the other fact that I didn't actually mention in my video, but when he started recording McCartney II, he had nothing. He kind of made it up as he was going along, and those songs were created apart from Waterfalls. Waterfalls was a song that he already had, and according to Luca, had already tried it during the back to the Egg sessions.
Yeah, interesting. Well, imagine if we heard that, and of course we knew the song was just called "I Need Love" initially.
Yes.
And then, as you said in your video, it's just basically him saying, "Look, please don't go anywhere because I need you in my life."
Yes,
great. But he's using the metaphor of a waterfall to be safe, polar bears and stuff like that, and a video that maybe people think is a little cringy because the hair is flipped the wrong way, and I know he actually talks about that.
He's got that knitted cardigan on.
I want that. I want that cardigan. I want it. No, it's good, but he even looks at it when you watch it on the McCartney Years DVD. He's like, "What was I thinking with brushing my hair this way?" So he could look back at himself and say, "What was I thinking with this video?" The video is a little but the song, top notch McCartney, and it's a 10 it's a 10 for me.
Okay.
Last song on side one, we totally changing up the pace again. You've just been lulled to sleep for 4.5 minutes. Now you've got this wacky thing with the drums thwack at you right out of nowhere with Nobody Knows. Which has in your video, you talked about how the bass line is kind of just like a basic rock, dun, 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 but it's slowed down on this. Never knew that. Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was slowed down, mechanically, or whether he just played it slower. But it's that same thing that do. It's rock around the clock or whatever.
Right, but maybe just a little bit slowed down. Yeah. Another kind of funky tune with that kind of drenched, echoey voice effect that's on a lot of these songs. You hear it, and hear it, and Nobody Knows. One of the best lines in the song is, "I love that Samson and Delilah can't pay the petty rent," or whatever that is.
Yeah,
but it's funky. You gave it a 7 out of 5. I'm not crazy about it.
7 out of 5 would have been a good score.
So exactly. Yeah. 7 out of 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
I'm inclined to agree with you on that one. It's a good, and again, you've been very generous with a lot of your ratings on these songs. It's when we flip the album over where we have a little bit of this is why the score of the album comes down, I think, for you, which you
I think too. By the time I've got to the end of side one, I'm thinking, this is a really good album. It's, I don't think there's any bad tracks on side one. It's good. Then we flip it over.
Now, here's the thing that made me laugh and then cry and then laugh again when I heard your explanation of this song. Front Parlor. Okay, one of 2 instrumentals on McCartney II. The better of the two, I might add.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a great song, but when I absolutely laughed my ass off is when he compared it to sounding like this. Really? It really it reminds you of Super Mario.
That's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of playing Super Mario with my kids and that annoying background
that was Tony just jumping on top of a coin box.
Yeah, it was.
And getting the coins.
Yeah.
Oh my!
In case you're thinking I was having a fit or something.
Oh my good. Front parlor now, which he calls in his video, spare bedroom.
Yeah. Well, it's such an uninspiring title. Front parlor, which basically in England means kitchen.
Right.
In the olden days, that's what they used to call the kitchen, the front parlor, and it just
was
quite an uninspiring title.
No,
It might as well have called it spare bedroom.
I'll give you credit there. The title might be a little uninspired, but musically, I love it. It's Paul going in all kinds of crazy directions, having fun with a really, really nice melody that you hear through the whole thing, repeated with a crazy drum machine backing with it that kind of ends in this big cacophony of sound and explodes at the end. And if 3 minutes, 34 seconds wasn't long enough for you on McCartney II, you had to watch the 5-minute version on the archive issue that came out. When that came out, I said, 2 more minutes of front parlor? Woohoo! I was stoked, man. Because I absolutely think this is an awesome instrumental track. I think the title, I'll agree with you, is a little bit lame, but I don't think it's very dull. You gave it a 2 you gave it a 2 on this video. This is the only time
drives me batty.
Oh, this is like an 8. This is easily an 8.
An 8?
An 8 out of 10 on front parlor. Amen. Give it a spin now.
You'd score it higher than On the Way.
I would. By half a point. Yeah. But that's what makes the world go around, right? I mean,
yeah, of course. There's no right or wrong answers.
There's not.
When you rating songs or albums
Super Mario Brothers, though, I was laughing my ass off when you compared it to that. That was because I could see where you could think that a little bit. It's like funky little. Well, the period's not too far apart, right? This is 1980. Mario was 85. It's got that kind of video game kind of quality to it, unlike Press to Play, which we talked about with Luca a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
The next track, I was really happy to see that you didn't like this song, but as you got older, you liked it. And that's, of course, Summer's Day song. I would imagine your younger self probably felt this was a little bit too much of a dirge, right?
Yeah, I did. It seemed to take forever to go anywhere. And that was my initial thoughts of it with my, teenage pop snob hat on.
Right.
But obviously things have changed now. I've mellowed now, and I can I can appreciate particularly the instrumental parts are absolutely beautiful. I think he created about 8 synthesizer tracks for this, representing various classical instruments on this. I mean, it's still got that one verse that just gets repeated twice, and so it still drags a little bit for me, again, but I can appreciate what he was doing with that more now than I could back then.
In 1980, right? You can, what's this? This is taking forever here, but now I just think it's a wonderful kind of neoclassical piece when you think about it.
It
flows, and it flows, and
I think that's what I said in the video. Like it's kind of semi-classical, isn't it?
It absolutely is, and it can only one verse, and even more beautiful is hearing the version on the archive that just has no vocals to it. It's just the instrumental backing track, which is really nice and peaceful too. The flutes are obviously fully up, and as you mentioned, the Mellotron, it had the Mellotron and had very similar sounding to Strawberry Fields Forever, which was our topic of our most recent episode on Hands Across the Water. It's got that vibe to it, doesn't it?
It has, That was the setting that he used for the flutes on it.
Think about it. You hear the flutes on Summer's Day song, it takes you right back to the beginning of Strawberry Fields Forever. So clearly he had an affinity with playing with the synthesizers and always gravitated towards it. You gave it a 6, which I thought it'd be a little bit higher. I'll go 7.5 on it, like I did. Now I'm going to give it an 8. It's as good as Front Parlor. I'll give it an 8. Now you know what? I'm going to give it a 9. I'm going to give it a 9.
9?
I'm going to give it a 9.
So that's your top track so far.
No, right? Waterfalls 10.
Oh, Waterfalls 10, right? So
Waterfalls 10. The next instrumental song Frozen Jap or Frozen Japanese if you had the Japanese copy. Which in Tony's video he made a point. He's like, this was recorded obviously during the summer of '79 before Japan. It's only afterwards that he titled it that. So, you know, you wonder why he titled it that. Maybe just feeling isolated. And what else am I going to call this track that kind of is bouncing all over the place and has a really good drum part to it?
It does have a good drum part on it.
Oh,
especially when it breaks down in the middle where it's just drums. It's good. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that bit, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you gave this a 4. I'll give it a 6, but I'm curious. So you like it, but you're not, I mean, you didn't have it as low as Front Parlor, but it's still middle of the road for you. It's nothing.
Yeah. It's not something that I would, want to go back to too often. I'm not a big fan of instrumentals anyway. It's not a favorite.
No,
it's not a favorite.
It's no sing along junk. I'll tell you that.
It's not. Now that is an instrumental.
Right.
That's better than the vocal version, I think. The instrumentation in it is just fantastic.
It's better. It's
particularly
better.
The piano, yeah, brilliant.
Absolutely. The piano the piano's doing the vocal bit, the line.
Yeah.
On Sing Along Junk. Very good.
Yeah.
Next track, probably one of the wackiest he's ever written, Bogey Music. Now, I didn't understand the British references this until I watched your video. Can you just explain it again to everybody out there what the bogey aspect?
The song is inspired by the book Fungus and the Bogeyman, but a bogey in Britain is what you guys call a booger.
Oh, okay. Is that what
it is?
Up your nose.
Yeah.
Now, a bogey in golf is you get a do-over. And when you're playing golf, you get a bogey. You get a do-over.
Yeah, bogey is what is it? Is it 2 under par or 1 under par? I can't remember.
I don't golf. So
no, nor do I.
I don't have the patience for it. I'd snap that thing in half. But a bogey. So in the UK, it means up your nose with a booger. Interesting. Yeah. You gave this a 7.5. I agree with you. The voices he does on this song, awesome. It's suckers. I mean, all that stuff.
He's kind of singing it in a cod Elvis voice, I think. And this is just a bit of fun, right? And anyone that takes this seriously is misguided. I think you got to take it on the face. You got to
take it for what it is,
in which it's been delivered, and it's just a bit of fun. And I like it.
Absolutely. The voices on it got to bogey down, bogey on music, bogey on down. It's fun. It's just a fun track.
Yeah.
Dark Room, the next track, you've rated an 8. I was expecting a lower score out of this for you, but you really like Dark Room.
I really like Dark Room, and I think it is pretty dark. It's kind of borderline creepy, but a
little bit.
I like all the little voices that he does in it, and this is a good example of where experimentation, for me anyway, I know other people won't agree, but for me, this is where experimentation really works for him. I think this and A Temporary Secretary, which I think is also experimental, are the two experiments that really work.
Yep. Good bass part on this too.
Yeah.
And then the song kind of comes to an end and it finishes up in a big fast flourish, right?
Yeah, and it kind of speeds up as it goes through. And I think it's a good song. I think it works.
8 out of 10, and I would agree with you for that. I'll give that a solid 8 for sure.
And there's a nice long version on the archive as well, isn't there?
Yes. Yeah. And as we know from one of Tony's way back videos, the first time I ever saw him was when he did his value of the archive box sets. And this one I still think is your best value for bonus material. McCartney II archive remains the gold standard in terms of extra audio that's available. You may not like it all, but this is what's available. You've got all that other stuff. Mr. H, Adam, all your horse riders, Blue Sway, all that stuff.
Yeah. And I think when you hear all that stuff, I think he probably made the right choices about what ended up on the album, because I can't think of anything that's on there apart from maybe Check My Machine.
Blue Sway would have been a nice. If
Oh yeah, Blue Sway's nice actually. Yeah,
Blue Sway.
Blue
If he had
Sway's nice.
used the Richard Niles orchestration, Blue Sway would have been a nice addition on this album.
Yeah, but didn't Richard Niles do that orchestration much later?
Yeah, it wasn't
later
done.
in the 80s.
It wasn't
the version that he did, which is also on the archive, is about like a 9-minute version or something.
Yeah, and
they would have said, no, that's too long.
Exactly, and yeah, but that brings us to the last track on the album, One of These Days, which Tony's given an 8.5. I'll go half a point higher and give it a 9. Tony, I think, in his video, and I agree with him, says that it's basically the first time that Paul is looking at himself possibly as an elder statesman of rock at the time.
Yeah, I think
looking down the road. He's 40 at the 1980. He's 38, right? Yeah, he's 38. 1980.
Probably 37 when he wrote it.
Exactly. Yeah, 37. Yeah, 79.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So he's 37, and simple acoustic ballad that takes us out. I do love when you mentioned the guitar picking in it.
Yeah,
it's there. It's right. It's to be found.
Yeah,
the wonderful, the key change there, and then you hear the double track vocal come in there again a little bit, and you hear Linda too with scant backing vocal support, which is really nice towards the end of the song.
Yeah, it is, and I for someone who's 37, he's always very wise. He's always wise beyond his years. When he's 23 when he writes a song like "For No One,"
Right. 37 years old.
Yeah,
it's there,
he's 37, and he's thinking about maybe what he and Linda would be doing in their retirement. One of these days when we both are at our ease and we've got time to please ourselves, and it's great. It's great.
It's all we ever wanted to be. He's 37 years old saying that, and he's got a 3-year-old. And he's not even 40. It's amazing when you think how mature of a songwriter he can be at times. And I know his lyrics can be rightly criticized sometimes.
Yeah.
Whatever. And some of them are crap. I agree. But this is one that's like, I would put this like on a Yesterday type level. I would.
Yeah.
Not Yesterday, but
yeah. I wouldn't rank it that highly personally, but everyone has got their own opinion, and
right.
Like I say, there's no rights or wrongs, and I think that this one is. It is such a beautiful song, but I'm just questioning whether it's up there with the best of his ballads, because it is just him and an acoustic guitar. It's not a very developed song.
No,
it's stripped down to the bare bones, basically. So it's similar to something like Blackbird or something. Not in it, they're not the same song, but it's the same thing.
I'm not trying to
with an acoustic guitar,
right? But I the maturity in it, and I think it's probably up there for one of his best album closers in his entire solo career.
Yeah,
it's up there. It's got to be in top 5 of album closers, I would think. Like in the vein of Great Day and things like that, it's certainly up there. So you gave it an 8.5, but I'd give it a 9. Your score for the whole album was a 76. I haven't done the math on mine, but I would wager, given my differencing on Waterfalls and Spare Bedroom, aka Super Mario, it would probably be in the low 80s, I would think. For my score, for where I matched up with you with your deep dive of McCartney II. But I love seeing your explanation and your rationale and moments that make me go, no way, Tony, we got to talk this out. But that's why you do yours. You do your videos, and we have little fun videos like this where I can rebut it and tell you I agree or I don't agree.
Yeah, no, I've got no problems with being challenged, because at the end of the day, they're just opinions. They don't mean anything.
Nothing.
If I say something that's great, then that doesn't necessarily mean it is.
Exactly,
and vice versa. But I tell you one thing that I did take away from going like deep into this album. It's always sort of lauded as this, this very brave experimental album. For 1980. But when I come out the other side of it after playing it a few times and then talking about it, I'm thinking, well, there's quite a lot of tracks on this that aren't particularly experimental. It's just they're just normal pop songs. Paul's playing all the instruments, but they're just normal pop songs. I don't think that Coming Up is particularly experimental. On the Way isn't. Nobody Knows isn't. Waterfalls isn't really.
No.
And One of These Days isn't. So I'm thinking when I say the best songs, the songs that I like best on the album are probably the ones that aren't experimental, apart from Dark Room
and Temporary Secretary. Yeah.
And so it makes me question, was it that I think a lot of the experimental stuff that he did in that period was left off the album, and we get it on the archive.
Yeah, it was elbowed. That stuff was really. These are real, just typical pop songs, really, when you think about it. With a
lot of them are. A lot of them are.
So two funky instrumentals, great. But Coming Up, On the Way, Nobody Knows, One of These Days. Those are proper pop songs. You're right.
Bogey music as well, probably.
Bogey, although that I could see being a little more experimental because he took his voice in so many different places with it, But it is lauded as this experimental album when maybe it really wasn't. But the other stuff, I think everything at the time he was working on.
Yeah.
When you look at it that way, yeah, it was. And he took the best of that and put it on one single album.
Yeah, because out of that the whole session, I think it was a 2-month session. Although the dates conflict between Luca and the McCartney legacy. So Luca says June and July 79. McCartney legacy says July and August 79. But wherever it was, it probably doesn't matter.
It's summer.
It's a 2-month period, and he comes up with 20 pieces of music. For this, 11 of which get on the album and the other 9 don't. Yeah. And a lot of the ones that didn't are long pieces that would have been tricky to put on the album and keep some of the other stuff
off, and they weren't going to go for a double LP after the disappointing sales of Back to the Egg. No way that was going to happen.
Yeah,
always fun doing this with you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, same.
Let me know in the comments if you agree with Tony or me more, and your thoughts on some of the songs that maybe we differed on, and where do you kind of weigh in with those songs and those tracks as well. As far as Two Legs news, we're taking the 4th of July weekend off. We'll be back in about a week or so after that. And Hands Across the Water, if you haven't noticed yet, we dropped our most recent episode this past week, which was episode 9, which was a deep dive on Strawberry Fields Forever, which was a lot of fun, and we got a lot of good feedback and comments on that as well. So if you've already watched that and commented, thank you. If you haven't, take a look at that video, because that was a real lot of fun putting that one together. We'll have more of that probably in, I would say, 2 weeks' time when we do another episode for that on Hands Across the Water. So for my musical brother across the water, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. And to all Americans out there, happy 4th, everyone. Have a great time, and I'll see you on the other side.
That's right, buddy. Tone, take care, man.
And you, man. See ya.
See you, everybody.
Bye.